Bar chords have a reputation for being very difficult, but it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, I'll show you 5 quick tips that when you put them together will help you to play bar chords without the buzzing, muted strings, and especially without the pain in your left hand. Now, stay till the end because I've got a great bonus for you that you're really going to appreciate that'll help you with all of your guitar playing. Let's do this. Hi there, I'm Thomas Michaud from Real Guitar Success, where I help you learn guitar and love the journey. If you're new here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so I can send you some more guitar lessons and tips. One way to love the journey is to nail bar chords once and for all. For this lesson, I'm going to use an F bar chord. Now to be clear, the F bar chord is actually one of the more difficult bar chords. We're going to start there. To finger the chord, I'm going to place my first finger across the entire neck on the first fret, just behind the first fret. Now I've got my second finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and my 3rd and 4th finger are on the 5th string and the 4th string on the 3rd fret. So here's what it sounds like. Yes, that's it. Now, for the first tip, a lot of times what happens to students is when they're playing the bar chord, these last few strings start muting out. And one of the solutions for that is to angle this finger a little bit, or rather roll it back a little bit. Instead of just putting it on flat on the neck, roll the finger back. You see, what's happening is this part of the finger is actually pretty soft, but the side is more bony or hard. So by rolling it back, you're getting the advantage of that rigid side of your finger. And I'm not talking all the way to the side, just a little bit rolled back. And that leads me to the second tip. As you buckle down the finger, it's very difficult to get these strings to sound down here. So the solution is to raise this last knuckle. I call it the 3rd knuckle. This is 1, 2, 3. Up so it's more even. It doesn't have to be exactly even, and it certainly doesn't have to be popped up way in the air, but just more up. Roll the finger back and angle it up. Now when you make the bar chord, it's easier to get these strings to sound. Tip number 3. A lot of students, when they first learn chords, will put their thumb over the neck and make the chord this way. It works. I can play open chords that way. And it's easier. It's because you're resting on the crook of your hand, so it requires less muscle. But it causes problems later on, particularly with bar chords, because there's no way you can get all the notes to sound in the bar chord with your thumb all the way up around the neck. So first, make sure your thumb is back behind the neck. And what you're after is that it's pretty much behind your first finger. Now, what's happening here is you're applying the most pressure with the least amount of effort by the squeezing action between your thumb and your finger. If your thumb's way down here, it's going to be harder you'll have to press harder to get the same amount of pressure. So just behind the neck, right below the first finger, where you're making that bar. Now it's easier to actually press down and make the string sound with less effort. For the 4th tip, I want you to drop your elbow close to your body, not out here. And this will actually help you with angling the finger or rolling the finger back. Because if your elbow is out here, it's really hard to roll your finger. But as you bring your elbow in, it kind of naturally rolls the finger out. And the second part of this is it's really hard if your hand is crunched up against the neck. And I see a lot of students starting this way. I'm not sure why exactly. But as you roll your elbow in, release your hand and let your wrist come out a little bit so that the hand is coming up and back down. Wrist is just out. Now, everybody's hand is a little different, so you'll have to experiment with this. But generally, it's going to work better if your hand is not too far back and if your elbow is up. That is a problem. Elbow tucked in and wrist so that makes your hand push out a little bit. I feel like I can more easily press down as soon as I push my hand out. Now for the 5th and final tip. I want you to prepare for bar chords before you actually use them in a song. And what I mean by that is practice some exercises to help with bar chords. You wouldn't run a marathon without preparing for it, warming up, starting with shorter runs and then building up. Well, bar chords, for some people, are maybe as difficult as a marathon. I'm not sure about that analogy, but you get the idea. If you prepare for the bar chord, strengthen your finger. It does take strength. Strengthening your finger, strengthening the muscle between your thumb and your finger that requires the clamping. There's a couple of ways to do that, and I won't go into too much detail. I'll make another video on exercises for bar chords. But a couple critical ways that you can start right away. It's when you make regular open chords, make them with the thumb behind the neck, because you're strengthening this muscle by doing that. If you put your thumb over the neck, you're not using that muscle. So when you go to make bar chords and put the thumb back, you're starting from scratch. There's no strength there. The second exercise that's really helpful, I find, I have all students do this, is just play your bar all the way up the neck with no chord, and do that a little bit each day. I call it the bar chord exercise, and I have more details on that in another video. And feel free if you need a little help from your second finger. It'll strengthen the bar itself and get you practicing making all the strings sound. So that's the 5 tips. I want to give you just one final bonus tip that I think is probably the most important. I've seen a lot of students who will jump into the most difficult bar chord, the F, or one of the more difficult ones, try it for a while, decide it doesn't sound good, it's not working, they can't do it, and either quit bar chords or quit guitar altogether. The tip is everything that looks difficult can be made easy by just being persistent and practicing it little at a time, breaking it down step by step. And stick with it long enough until you get it. Don't quit. That sounds so obvious, but it is the #1 killer of people not being able to do something that they want to do, like play bar chords. You can start by exercises. You can work at a little each day. You can get discouraged, but just get back on it and keep at it little by little. And I promise you, if you do that, you will play bar chords and they will be easy one day. I play a bar chord with no effort. There was a time where I struggled with it, and I've seen that with most all students that I've worked with. You can do it. Keep at it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know in the comments below. And if I forgot a tip or some tricks that you know for bar chords, please share it in the comments. And it's a help for everybody who's struggling with this particularly difficult part of playing guitar. And one more thing. If you like this lesson, you're going to love my guitar success checklist. One of the things that is the most difficult for people is a lack of direction and focus. This personalized checklist will give you a clear roadmap of where to spend your time and how to get there step by step with confidence. All you have to do to get started is click the link in the description below this video or in the video itself. It's going to send you to another page, and within 10 seconds, you'll be well on your way.